Daniel, over 5 years in game app business and marketing globally. Currently, he works as a marketing expert and in Superscale, where he launched over than 150 titles with more than 100 partners. So, please welcome Daniel Rysan from Superscale, and he will tell us about scaling games with performance marketing. So, Dan, you are welcome.
Thank you, Vlad, and welcome everyone at Games Gathering 2021. So my name is Daniel, and today I prepared funny talk, very insightful, I believe, and we will be talking about how to properly scale your games doing performance marketing. So who am I? For those who don't know me, I am Daniel Rishan, currently working as a UI expert at Superscale. I'm also the senior committee member for marketing here. And as Vlad mentioned, my journey already started like 5 years ago, more than 5 years ago, right? Once I was at the high school and I was developing and publishing games on my own. Then I sold them and moved the company business, meaning that I joined Pixel Federation back in the days, where I worked for 2 years as a performance marketing manager. And after that, I moved to the Superscale, where I am right now. And I'm happy and glad to be here and to talk a little bit about what we do, what we did, and how to do properly US scaling. For sure, on the right side, you can also find and see my socials, my business email. So feel free to save those. Don't hesitate to message me whenever you want. Like I have Fridays. On Fridays, I have 2 hour slots when I'm replying to all the questions from the conferences and guests. So feel free to do that for sure. I will be more than happy to do it. And about the company, so we are Superscale. If you never heard about us, we are your growth platform/partner, meaning that we are not any kind of agency, but we are your partner. And we try to specialize, and actually we can cover all the business verticals. For example, from the user acquisition to the app store optimization, creatives, game design, data infrastructure. So basically, we can cover everything, and that's why we try to cooperate with the biggest out there and try to grow their games together. Because once they are happy, we are happy as well. So this is a little bit about us. And regarding our presentation today, this is our table of content. So a couple of things over here. We will start very slightly with the information what you are actually getting out of this talk, so you can know in advance what you can prepare for or what you can expect to see. Then we got short user acquisition quiz, and then we actually move to the main phases. We will start the channel expansions. Who should you choose? Where is the right idea and time to start? And then the last part is for creatives. We will cover multiple creative insights, win rates, iterations, and etc. So as you can see, a lot of stuff to be discussed today. So let me jump right into it. So what you are actually getting out of this talk. So we will show on concrete examples of why expand to multiple UA channels, how to choose one, and actually launch a new one for your game title. If you are thinking about it and you are prepared to scale, you should know and see what's the right idea and the right way to do it if you've never done that before. And then it's pretty crucial to understand most powerful creatives. So this is also the section which we will cover, and also why testing multiple and different creative components together with angles is the best idea for scaling with networks. And as you know, once you got more functional channels, as a UI expert or creative lead, it instantly means more opportunities and to have fun as well as a whole team to grow your game. So let's start the short way quiz and actually to engage you in a little fun way. So guys, please feel free to guess how much we spent at Superscale on user acquisition activities in the last 3 months. A, $500K of dollars. B, $5 million, or C, $15 million. So take your time, be brave. Like, you saw the companies we work with, so it shouldn't be hard to guess, right? And if you went for C, $15 million, you were right. And maybe you are asking, Daniel, okay, and why you are actually sharing this kind of information and number? The reply and response is simple. This kind of huge spend would not be possible if we would not be able to be visible with our marketing activities actually everywhere, meaning on all user acquisition channels, right? And this is why I prepared this talk for you, where we will cover those kind of sections. So when it comes to the channel expansions, if you've never done that, so let me actually explain it a little bit. And let's start actually with the majority approach. So majority approach means that, let's say, we got a product, we got a game, and we are doing activities mostly at the beginning at the socials, right? For example, Facebook together with Google Ads, which is not bad idea at all. That's also our starting point, but this is the majority approach. Most of the times, these two are your picks to start your UA, right? But the main problem starts on the right side, as you can see, when it comes to the campaign evaluation. For the majority approach, we are relying just only for those kind of dashboards we got access to in Facebook and also in Google Ads. And if you are a UA manager, you already know that you are, and we are quite limited on the data view over there, meaning that we can't actually predict if we are going to be profitable or not, right? We can just cover and monitor on daily basis our CPI levels, CTR, IPM metrics, etc. Also, if the integration is right, we can see for sure ROAS numbers over there, but not in a long-term view, meaning that you are not able to do any kind of calculations or prepare prediction model for your campaign, for your creatives, etc. So that's the majority approach. And now let me show you the ideal recommended approach. So is it the same? It is the same, right? We got a product game, and let's say we are running heavily UA on Facebook and Google Ads, but we are not profitable, right? This can be a case, and we want to scale our game. So what we need to do is definitely add to our rotation multiple and different ad channels. For example, Unity, Iron Source, Wangle, Snapchat, TikTok, etc. You can see those on the left side. So this is like the crucial part, because it can easily happen that for some reason it's different per each game title, right? It's super individual, that you can run profitable UA, for example, on Unity and Iron Source, but not on Facebook ads, due to custom audiences and different kind of audience that certain network offers. So that's why it's pretty crucial to test as much as you can and actually understand each kind of network, so you can better feed your UA strategy and scale much easier. But more importantly, once you decided to move forward and try to be visible actually everywhere where you can, you really need to understand and properly evaluate all your data you are acquiring. So in this case, this is like very quick snapshot from our dashboards we are offering and producing for our partners. So actually, UA managers are in this kind of dashboards sorry, on a daily basis, and we can actually see everything what we need to, so we can better understand what we are acquiring, and mainly when we are going to be profitable, not only in terms of timeline, but we can also see our prediction models and actually cover, once we cover all the campaign costs, we can see, for example, in 1 year how much money we are going to make on campaign level, on ad set level, and also on creative level. So this is kind of ideal recommended approach, that at the same time, once you decided to scale and once you need to be visible everywhere, you really need to understand data in each channel, because each channel has different audience, right? So you can definitely, and you need to have those kind of prediction models per each channel, so you can better plan and not overspend, right? And be profitable. And that sounds quite simple, right? But who to choose actually, because there are plenty of options, tons of networks. So replies that no one has a magic wand to know where the best players are for your game. But on the other hand, you know, we are here to use our brain, and together with tools such as Epenny or Sensor Tower, we can use these tools and brainstorm with the team leads, and actually can spy or be inspired by those that are doing great things on those channels, for example, and we are not. So this is kind of great advantage, and it's part of the research, if that makes sense. So it's not impossible, but once you do a quick and right research, you can save tons of money, especially once you are preparing to scale your game. But where to start? So first of all, you always need to know your monetization model. You need to understand how your game monetize and what's the share of in-apps slash ads revenue, because few networks optimize only towards in-apps, if that makes sense, and few networks optimize together. Actually, they collect all data from in-apps and together with ads revenue. So you need to know this kind of information in advance when once you decide to move forward to concrete network. You need to know this kind of data. So we are not, for example, let's say you got a hyper casual game, when the main revenue stream from your game comes through the ads, and you decide to move your UA activities on Unity ads, then it's quite tricky, because Unity ads, for example, optimize only with in-apps, if that makes sense. So this is exactly why you need to know this kind of informations in advance. Then what you need to do is like the part of the research, like make a list of your biggest competitors, and the right idea is to choose at least 5 games that do better than you, and not only in terms of revenue, but also in UA slash creative activities. So this is why I personally love Epenny, because you can see also how many creatives are live for specific game title, and also break down it by each network, so you can instantly know if they are doing and pushing UA heavily on that network, or if they are just testing that, right? Because you can see number of creatives live in certain month. So this is pretty great advantage, and it's actually part of the research you need to do. And then make sure they are in your game genre, right? That you are sharing the same target audience, and you can better decide in which network you should move forward to. And lastly, compare the previous 3 months of their UA activities. Like, it does make sense to go even higher. Like, for example, you can compare the last 6 months, but as we can see in marketing space, our world is changing pretty fast. So I personally like to have the freshest data possible. So that's why I recommend to keep last 3 months. And it's wise to compare US only, because tons of data are are coming from the US market. But if you are not happy with US data for some reason, then the wise idea is to have any kind of tier one bucket, right? Up to 5, the best tier one markets that are important for your game. So you can also do those kind of researches with tier one markets as well. And the goal over here must be, and always is, to identify a working channel, and you need to focus on number of creatives, as I mentioned, because you can see those kind of information over here, over there, for example at Epenny, and you can instantly identify if that certain network for your biggest competitor is working or not. So let me show you here how to pick the channels, or this is really kind of quick snapshot from the research. And let's say we are at the puzzle game genre. So this is puzzle genre example. And I try to pull out over here data from September 2021. and let's say we got a puzzle game and we are not doing user acquisition activities with ad colony, for example. So what we need to do is to find out our best and biggest competitors. For example, over here it's Township, Gardenscapes, Lily's Garden, Merge Gardens, right? So quite big ones out there. And once we see that they are doing activities with ad colony, that's the first great sign. Then the second part of the research is about the network benefits. You can see that down below. And for example, with ad colony, you need to understand also advantages and disadvantages. Over here, we got a few advantages. For example, they can create custom UI ads for you for free as a part of the campaign. So that's a great advantage. If you decide to move forward over here, you can count with that. And then, for example, multiple creative types, like ad colony is well known for premium video supply, meaning they can cover all the aspects from the creative production, right? You can have dynamic video ads, normal video ads, playable ads, etc. And this is also the advantage and disadvantage at the same time, because if you are not producing solid stuff, let's say, and let's put it that way, you will not be winning those kind of auctions, if that makes sense, right? So if you really decide to move forward with ad colony and you are doing this kind of research and you decide to move over there, make sure you can produce multiple stuff to cover all the verticals from dynamic up to playable, so then it can turn out to be advantage as well, right? So that was for the ad colony, and then same stuff, you actually repeat the same thing. Like the best scenario is that if you are not running UA anywhere else and it comes to the UA channels, you can actually go one by one and do this kind of research, right? And then you can just pick the best 3 or 2 where you can see your biggest competitors are doing UA and you are missing potential over there. Basically, that's the main key takeaway from here. But let's say for Charbus, we found the same kind of thing, that our competitors are visible over there in previous months. And then we need to know those kind of network benefits. For Charbus, I personally, what I love about Charbus is that you can have game genre targeting option. This is kind of unique across ad channels. So let's say you got the female-oriented game, let's say heavily female-oriented game or heavily male-oriented game. You can actually run campaigns for just that certain audience. So that's pretty huge advantage. And as well, you got the option to run user acquisition for Amazon platform. So I just try to pull out over here a few highlights from the network so you can know it as well. And this is kind of part of research once you decide to move forward with the certain network. And then lastly, for example, in Mobi in this case, we repeat the same thing. We found out that our competitors are visible over there. We want to be as well if we are struggling with the other networks, right? So we repeat the same thing. We try to understand and know network benefits, so then we can better prepare our UA strategy over there. Right, and creatives are pretty crucial part, especially not just for the channels testing, but actually once you are already started scaling, you need to have pretty strong creative production and actually to cover all the needs over there per each network. So let me actually show you a few creative insights over here. So we will stay in the same kind of gaming genre as we just talked about puzzles. I thought it will be best idea to pull out and put over here a few puzzle examples, and the first one is from the merge version. Before I play it for you, this one is pretty huge. Once I was doing research for them, they are actually pushing this one certain video I'm going to play for you across multiple channels, and it's one of the best performing at the moment. So without any further ado, let me quickly play it for you. Right, very nice. What do you guys think about it? Like, I personally, when I saw this ad for the first time, I was instantly hooked. And as you can tell, I am definitely not the targeted audience for that certain game. But I was curious at the from the beginning, who is missing, who is he, what's going on over there. There is kind of a story behind that, and I already wanted to know that, right? So what they did great with this kind of creative is that they want to evoke emotions ASAP from the video, and they did a great job by focusing on one angle, on one specific angle in this case, and that's 3D style slash story opening, which is like 50% of the video duration. And if you are doing UA on Facebook, you might know that your creative production is completely different, let's say, because you are not doing those kind of 3D openings over there, and you are trying to focus more on gameplay or any kind of fun facts you can include and highlight over there. But this is the crucial part and main takeaway what I wanted to show you, that if you decide to move to any kind of ad networks from Unity, Iron Source, etc., you really need to step out your creative production a little bit and move in a different direction. And this is a great example how they did it with those kind of angles, 3D style slash story opening. The next thing is that on Facebook, for example, square format is quite unique. You can be visible across multiple placements, but for networks, it's quite tricky in a way that you can pull out vertical or landscape formats, if that makes sense. And in this case, for merge merchant, when I was doing multiple researches for them, they are mostly pushing for the landscape one. So this is something what you also need to test in order once you start scaling a little bit, because each format is performing different and is also shown to different audience. So that's also pretty great insight from here, that for example for merge merchant, landscapes are performing the best, and they are pushing those kind of landscapes on multiple ad networks. Then we got the township over here. So without any further ado, let me play it for you. So yeah, as you can see, completely different approach, let's say, but what they did the same as Merge Merchant, for example, that they wanted to evoke emotions at the beginning of the video, right? With the dog, with the crying dog, etc. So same angle with the emotions, but then they moved forward after 50% of the video durations with showing actual gameplay features, etc. So this is kind of stuff that is doing great for them across multiple networks. And as we can see, in this case, also landscape orientation is in favor of portraits. Then we got the third example. This one is from the Family Island. And once again, I try to pick just the best performance across multiple networks so we can better compare them. And this one got pretty strong 3D opening. It's quite shorter when we compare it with the previous ones, but still 40% of video duration is over there. So we can say this is actually not the trend, but this is actually the crucial part of the creative production for those kind of networks, that you really need to have any kind of strong opening, any kind of storytelling, and you need to evoke the emotions really fast at the beginning. You really can't just throw your gameplay to the user. So this is kind of different approach you always need to keep in mind, especially once you start planning and scaling for UA networks. So let me quickly play this one for you as well. I'm not sure if I'm sharing also the sound actually from the video, but if yes, uh, you can saw that at the very end of the video, like from the beginning, very strong 3D opening, almost like a movie, right? And they, after 40% of video duration, they moved to the simple game scene along with the sound effects. So it can definitely work. You don't need to have any kind of AAA production to build almost like a movie trailer video. For sure, once you get the resources, that's the right idea as well. But this is also a great example when you can combine it together with any kind of simple game scenes together with different kind of sound effects. So that was pretty great insights. Those were pretty great insights from the Family Island, and as we can see, they are pushing for landscape orientation as well in ad networks. And then the last one is from Magical. Just the important disclaimer over here, they are not running user acquisition in networks, only on Facebook and Google USC. That's why you can also see the different creative dimension, right? It's not landscape anymore. But the reason why I wanted to show this is that they are doing pretty great job, and actually that's quite interesting approach to the creative production, because they are combining three different angles in one video. First one is going to be about 3D openings and more scenes, like that's the same as we saw with the previous ones. Then over here we got different kind of upgrades, features, and also story selection at the beginning. So let me actually play it for you so you can catch those all angles in this one video. So pretty nice. What do you think? Like this is also a great example, because once you start producing multiple and different stuff, you can also start combining each of them together, and you will have quite a longer video, let's say. But as you can know, on Facebook we are quite unlimited. Also on Google UAC for YouTube, we can have up to 1 minute video. So it can be, for some cases, for sure it's pretty individual, but it can be a great fit for your game as well. So these were actually 4 great examples from the puzzle game genre category. And this is kind of part of research you also need to do. Let's say you are in the action or casino game, whatever the game genre is, you need to follow those kind of steps as I just mentioned. First part is to have a research on your biggest competitors, and then as the second part is to compare and actually see what kind of ads those kind of guys you are fighting with the auctions, right, with the bids, are producing, so you can get inspired and also improve your creative production for your game title. Then we got a section regarding creative win rate, because we just saw the beautiful ones that are performing very great across multiple channels, but we actually don't know how much unsuccessful ads were behind that, right? So how often do we find new winners is a question. We at Superscale currently move in the range of 12%. It's very individual, but we can definitely say that everything about 10% is suitable for most games. For sure, more the better, depending how much and how many creatives you are producing on weekly basis. But you really need to aim to have at least 10% to find that certain winner. And the goal is quite simple: to have at least one great performing creative out of 10 ads produced. And what we actually mean by great performing creative, that's the one that is hitting project benchmarks such as CPI, IPM, CTR, but mainly ROAS, right? We also had multiple examples when we were able to keep our CPI at pretty low levels, but we are not acquiring unique pairs, right? And our ROAS was pretty small on those ads. So those ads are not so important for me, especially once you decide to scale. You really need to care about the ROAS, so you can know when you can cover those costs, right? You just did with the campaign. So goal is to have at least one great creative performing creative out of 10 ads produced, and the more the better. But this is the kind of benchmark. And as I mentioned, we worked and are working with multiple game clients and partners from different kind of gaming categories. So that's why I also have one kind of big case study over here, because we are producing tons of stuff from the creative production. So in this case, let me show you one case study for the creative winners. We will be in this time in the action gaming category, and about the creative analyzed. Like we produced for this specific case 173 ads, and as we can see, most of them were videos, but you can also see kind of good split with static images. For this specific game title, at the beginning we are focusing only on Facebook. That's why you can also see the static images over there. And once we saw we are not able to scale with those kind of static images campaigns, we just moved our production strictly to the video and playable ads. So I would say quite good sample of creative analyze over here. And now, guys, feel free to take a guess what was our creative winner rate for this case. Like it shouldn't be hard, as I just mentioned 12% number slide before, so you already know it's going to be higher. The question right now is how much, and let me actually show it to you. So it was 21%. So this is kind of number when we are trying to aim for together with our partners per each game. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes not, but especially once you start scaling and are doing those kind of huge budgets, you need to also track your creative winner rate, so you know if you are producing good stuff or you need to move in a completely different direction when it comes to creative production. That makes sense. So everything about 10% is suitable also for huge scaling, but if you are at 20%, for example, that's even better, right? And also easier for UA managers to keep those kind of huge campaigns live for a longer period of time or even boost it up. So that's the main key takeaway from here. And then we got the creative iterations. So let me actually show you, if you never heard about creative iterations, what is it? So we got, it's part of two, we can divide it in two parts. First part is regarding the components. So we got different kind of components you can apply for your creative production to play with. So for example, those are game characters, units, weapons, gear, tools, any kind of game buildings, game worlds, backgrounds, specific levels, skins, updates. Right, the list is, I'm not saying unlimited, but it's pretty individual per each game. But you get the point that those kind of components are what's inside your game. You can play around with the gaming characters, with the cars, with skins, backgrounds, whatever. And components are very great in a way that they are very simply, they can be made, they can be prepared in a quick way. Down below I also have a quick example. It's the same creative, it's the same ad, but we were testing just 3 different backgrounds per each ad, and this is kind of very quick component iteration you can do with your ads, with your already produced ads, and test it out, right, for different audiences per different ad networks, and actually to see which kind of, in this case, background is appealing the most and it's performing the best. So then you can move even forward, if that makes sense. So I personally love components because they are very easy to do, and as you can see, you can have very easily up to 3 or 4 different iterations from your original video if you just change the background image. Like, this is a very simple example, but you understand the point that it can be done very quickly. But then on the right side we got the angles, and angles are more advanced in a way that this is mainly for the creative leads. They really need to brainstorm a little bit and actually to come up with the completely new ideas. And those can be, for example, any kind of animated video slash sketch, meaning you got the color game, right? But you can do any kind of interesting sketch in black and white. Those can be pretty great angle you can test out. Then any kind of meta or real life action scenery. We will be showing those kind of examples in a sec. Then any kind of storytelling, 3D opening scenes, as we just saw with those 4 great examples. Any kind of challenges, tutorials, new versus pro, 3D visual and gameplay, as I mentioned. There is no right answer because each game is in different kind of gaming category, right? This is mainly for the creative leads when they need to step out and to come up with something fresh, something different. So then you can move forward, right? Because let's go over here just to let you know. Once you find a good angle for your game, for your target audience, then you can iterate multiple times with a certain angle. So you can change the background, you can change different characters, cars, whatever, right? And from one good idea, from the one original creative, you can come up with up to 10 different kind of creatives, and that's kind of goal over here, right? So let me actually show you the first example from the angle angle production we did for one game. Right, so what do you think about it? Quick disclaimer over here. As you can see, we, in this case, basically our main angle, what we tried to prove was to actually combine any kind of real world scenery. In this case, it was inside the forest, together with our gaming characters. In this case, those were those tanks. And surprisingly, it worked more than great. Like, from that moment, once we saw, we were able to decrease our CPIs quite heavily, up to 50%, and RAS increased also quite heavily. So then we tried to move for that certain game only with this kind of creative production, meaning that we combined multiple different live world sceneries together with different kind of tanks, and our creative guys did a great job and tried to prepare any kind of interesting, appealing scene. And we also got the second one. It is the same game, but you can compare different approach. So let me play it for you. So yeah, what do you think about it? Like you saw, at the very end, we also shown our gameplay, so it's not misleading for sure. But at the beginning, we tried to move forward with any kind of racing or racing scene, if that makes sense. And what's great about this kind of creatives, especially when you have any kind of game with multiple characters or cars or whatever, once you can be able to find the winning angle, you can instantly play around with those components. For example, you can change skins for those tanks, or you can change those units and characters, and to try find out which is the best one working for your target audience. So Angles are very hard to find, but once you are able to find them, you can do unlimited iterations to even improve your performance and increase the wall performance across multiple channels, if that makes sense. So that was about a few examples from the components and creative angles. And maybe you are asking what types of components make the most impact, because there was tons of them, as I mentioned. So super individual, as I mentioned, each game is different. Each game has multiple units, cars, whatever. So there is no right answer, but it's really difficult to draw any conclusions, right? As there are many variables to consider. But from our experience and past results of several game genres, we can say that it's mostly skins and upgrades, then backgrounds, then showcase of any kind of important item in the game, for example, weapon, like legendary weapon or whatever it can be, game items, tools. This is really based on game, and then game characters, cars, units. So this is from our experience and from our past results. I personally love skins upgrades because you can play with them in a different creative ways. So then also creative can be quite engaging, if that makes sense. And then we got the question, maybe I already replied on it once I was mentioning angles and components. The question is, if can iteration outperform the original video? Yes, we have seen it several times, and this should be also your main goal, not just as a user acquisition manager to talk and to brainstorm together with creative leads and to try find those outperforming originals, but this is our example. We will stay in the same game as I just showed those kind of examples, and this is really cool example. So we got the original video on the left side, and then we got the background change version 1, the purple one, and the background version 2 on the right side. Just to let you know, we did produce in this kind of tests more than 7 different backgrounds, but I tried to pick the best ones so we can better compare it. So maybe let me play it quickly for you, the original one, so you get a point. Just to let you know, our angle over here was to have fun with our users in a way that we prepared very lame jokes with these tanks. So let me play first one for you. So yeah, as you can see, very lame joke, but on social networks it worked pretty well. Like we got multiple comments on that. Basically, engagement was pretty strong, and that was actually our initial test. That's why it's called original video. We tried to come up with, once again, real life scenario. In this case, it was at the beach. 2 tanks met. There is a lame joke behind that, so that was our angle to play around with the jokes. And once we saw the original is performing great, and once we were being able to hit our project benchmarks, then we moved our creative production for that certain angle, and we actually prepared additional background changes, right, to even boost the overall performance. I'm not going to play it once again. Those kind of are the same, right? Just to get your point, we just changed the background, but everything else is the same from the duration, and also at the very end we are showing the same kind of gameplay. And this is actually crucial part when you decide to move and to change any kind of component. Please change just that certain component, actually just one certain thing, so then you can compare and actually tell if that certain change did that impact or not, right? Because if you will be changing also gaming characters over here to get rid of the background, and it will start performing pretty damn great. You really can't say what was the reason behind that, if that makes sense. So always please make sure you are changing just one particular thing. In this case, we just changed the background. And yeah, those were our examples, and you already saw that. As I mentioned, original was performing very great, and we are more than happy to see, once we did produce those kind of additional iterations, that with this certain background we were able to improve our performance even higher. And for this game case, this kind of finding was pretty crucial, because from that moment we try to prepare and actually produce creatives with that certain background, as you can see over here. And that's actually the goal, right? That you are not just producing one ad, you put it to the action, you see if it's performing or not, you see, all right, it's not performing, I will need to create another one. But you really need to play around with those kind of components to find out which is the best way, which is the best pick for your game. And you can even have up to 10 different kind of creatives just from the original video, and that's the goal over here. And it can be easily done, as we just mentioned, those kind of components. So that was about the creatives, and now I got the last part, which is about the performance between game genres, because as I mentioned, we work with multiple gaming companies, and they are having multiple gaming titles in different gaming categories, if that makes sense. So that's pretty great, because we can easily compare and actually see any kind of trends or whatever it's called. So maybe you are asking, is there really a difference between gaming genres? For sure it is, and it's actually a big one. And let me actually show you one quick table from our kitchen, when we can actually see that kind of huge differences between performance. So this is a quick table from our kitchen. I try to pull out just 4 games when we are spending the most at the moment, and also to better compare the data, I just pull out the US spend from the US market, so it can be better comparable. So game 1, just to briefly let you know, is very complex RPG game in core/mid-core gaming category. Game 2 and game 3 are sharing the same casual gaming category, but the audience is quite different. One is for male, one is for female oriented, and the game 4 is in mid-core strategy. You can go through any kind of IPM CTR numbers, like those are well-known informations that is different across different gaming genres. But game 1 particular is quite good example and case study I would like to talk about a little bit more. So let's focus on game 1, and actually why I'm showing these kind of numbers and data over here. So game 1, as we can see, have D7 RAS 5%, D30 RAS 14%, D1 retention below 50%, D7 28%, and main part over here is to see the CPI quite high at $43 for US market when we compare it with the free games on the right side, right? And maybe you are asking if this game is actually scalable or if we are profitable. And yes, we are. And the reason why we are able to even scale more for that certain game is that we understand our players per each channel, as I mentioned at the beginning, but it's only possible because of those kind of customized dashboards we are preparing and producing for that certain game. Because to be honest with you, if I would see this kind of numbers from my campaign, right, CPI at higher than $40, and I have ROAS less than 5% for D7, I wouldn't personally believe if I'm going to be profitable or what's going to happen, right, in 1 year period, let's say, because that's a very complex game. We are aiming to be profitable within 1 year. So that's why we can see those kind of ROAS numbers quite lower for the 30. But the reason why we are confident enough to even spend and scale even more across multiple ad channel is that we can We can instantly know what's our maximum bid for CPI we can afford in order to be profitable. If that makes sense. So this is like very simple comparison of performance between genres, why it's crucial for you to understand the differences between them. For example, right now you are working in one company when you are pushing just sports games, and let's say in 5 years you will end up, I don't know, in a certain company when you will be managing as a UA expert or UA manager casino games, right? So those kind of CPI levels and all the metrics will be completely different. So that's why you always needs to know it in advance, keep it in mind, and once you have a chance to work on these kind of gaming titles, it's really crucial to have those kind of dashboards and prediction models, so you can know in advance what you can afford uh, in order to scale profitable, if that makes sense. And yeah, we are coming to end of our talk. So our conclusions: ad networks can hide many opportunities that needs to be discovered and can actually help you to super scale your game. So please be open-minded to explore new things, uh, learn from the best, and don't be afraid of trying new things. Uh, Also understand all the advantages and disadvantages of the channels that can offer you, and then it's all about testing. The more the better period. It can easily happen. I got my personal case, let's say, story, case study, when we were switching between different UA channels in each month, because for example in one certain month we saw that, for example, Snapchat Unity is performing very great, so we increased the budget for that certain month. And then for some reason next month, the audience changed and we needed to decrease those and move for Ad Colony and Applovin, for example. So that's why you really need to test on monthly basis. And our world, marketing world, is changing a lot. Ad networks are having kind of boost right now because of the audience. So it's all about the testing to find the best fit for your game, where you can scale the easiest and at the same time to be profitable, right? Then you need to know, always need to know your audience and their behavior. As I mentioned, goal is to understand all the acquired players you are buying to the game, what they do in the game, and when you can expect profits from their behavior. Then you should definitely have any kind of benchmarks, or let's say KPIs per geos. Like, you don't need to be scared. You don't need to have more than 200 of them per each country in the world, right? But for US, you should have strict benchmarks, for RAS numbers, retention numbers, etc. And then you can have any kind of additional buckets for tier 1, tier 2, and you should be good to go. So you can better evaluate data and actually understand those kind of players you are buying to your game. And with those kind of options, then you are able to plan your multi-channel activities more strategically. And at the end of the day, have fun. All right, like, well executed channels together with the creatives are the best way how you can enjoy your day-to-day work together with your teammates. So thank you so much, guys. It's been a really pleasure to be here to talk about a little bit about scaling games, what we did at Superscale, what we do. So it's been my pleasure. Thank you for your attention, and for sure on the right side you can see my socials. So don't hesitate and ping me a message whenever you can. Thank you, guys.
Okay, I think now we have still time for one question. Question from Hanna. By the way, she is art manager. To produce videos, as you showed in your references, merge, mention, township, it's expensive production. So here is the question. Which process is behind getting the final result, final 3D video? Do you test different concepts, just some draft videos, to choose best performing concept? And then do you start to improve your best performing concept, test different approaches, 3D, 2D, etc.? Or do you start to produce 3D videos at the beginning? Or do you choose a different approach?
Yeah, thank you so much, Anna. Very, very great question. And you are right? Those kind of 3D opening scenes are very expensive to produce. I can reply on that 3D production is quite advanced, and we moved to those kind of productions after we got results from our original video. So it is the reply is that we don't start with the 3D production at the beginning. We want to try and test as much as we can, and we do that on a weekly basis. That we come up with the 5 ideas together with the creative leads per each game title, when we try to focus on 5 different concepts in this way for components, as those were and are very easy to produce. So after 1 week, we got 5 new creatives. Each one is focusing for different component from the game. And once we put it to the test, and from those learning, we actually move forward. And once it's the right time and we got the resources to do any kind of advanced 3D video production, we try to combine those previously best performers together with that 3D opening scene. And this is like the ongoing process, right? You can do that you can replace that on monthly basis. But yeah, 3D production is not right idea to start off if you are not having any kind of resources, or if it's very time consuming for your team. Let's rather focus on those kind of additional components and try to find out what's the best performing component for your game and for your target audience, so then you can better move forward. And yeah, that's my reply on that.
That's it. Thanks, Dan. Again, I think it was exciting.
Thank
So
you.